So thank you very much for inviting me here today. It's always good to be among so many people with a passionate vision for the next generation of policing. And I really welcome the work the Police Foundation is doing to deepen our understanding of the shifting demands of police, on the police, and the shifting demands of policing. Like you, I'm absolutely convinced that the only way to make real progress on the aims we all share is improved partnership working. And we have been talking about this for a long time, and also enacting this for a long time. And events like this and the work of organisations like the Police Foundation are critical to making progress and developing innovative ways of partnership working. I did want to just briefly set the context that we're working in today, and the police are working in today, as all our partners working in. After a sustained period when crime was falling, we are now seeing recorded crime rising across the country. And in London, it's clear that the severity of crime is on the rise. There have been significant increases in high harm crimes, such as gun crime and knife crime. Driven nationally, but driven by London, we are experiencing an increase in violent crime in London, and the data from the NHS does confirm this. And this all comes in the midst of what I can only call a dire financial situation for the police in London, but also nationally. The MPS has had a 19% reduction in net revenue expenditure per head of population since 2012-13, compared to the national average of 5%. And the most recent data published by the Home Office shows that the total police workforce in the country has reduced by over 21,000 since 2010. In London, the Met has made savings of £600 million since 2010, and a further £400 million of savings is needed by 2021, leaving the Met to warn that police officer numbers could fall to as low as 27,500 by 2021, which would be the lowest officer numbers in 19 years. I'm sure, like many of you in this room, I was also extremely disappointed last week when the Chancellor didn't even mention policing and security in the budget, despite the unequivocal warnings from police forces about falling officer numbers, rising violence and the threat of terrorism. And I know that the police are not alone in terms of financial pressures. The funding that underpins so many other interrelated services has also plummeted. For instance, local authority budgets have been cut by up to 40%. And I know that this has had a huge impact on many of the service providers that we rely on to make a real impact in partnership working and reducing crime. And similar financial pressures are hitting the NHS, schools, the probation services and many others. I only put this in context not to cast a cloud of gloom, although it is gloomy, but to be clear about the challenges and difficulties that we all face. Of course, each of us does have to adapt and ensure that we are as efficient and effective as possible, continuing to drive down costs and transforming services. And the major challenge is to make sure that we can continue to focus on early intervention and prevention, whilst tackling the problems of crime and recorded crime now, and looking to implement what works to bring down crime and reoffending. In addition to the oversight of the Met and MOPAC, the Mayor's Office of Policing and Crime's convening role in driving improvements to the criminal justice service, we have, over the years, increasingly become involved in the commissioning and delivering of services. Wherever possible, we undertake these new responsibilities in a collaborative and inclusive way, fostering innovative partnerships that are able to target resources where they have the most impact. All of our large-scale commission services to date have been co-commissioned with probation or health services. For example, the London gang exit that we commission, the female offender service, child house and rape crisis centres, and our youth violence intervention services, which are delivered in major trauma centres in London, pooling budgets and expertise to minimise duplication and improve the service offer. Some of the learning that came out of commissioning the London gang exit is the importance of engaging in as wide an audience as possible with your commissioning ambitions to ensure issues and opportunities are brought to your attention early on in the process. Our ongoing Child House programme is bringing health, well-being and criminal justice processes together to provide a truly joined-up multi-agency service to children and young people who are the victims of sexual abuse. The way that we have worked on Child House has taught us the importance of both the internal and external perception of joint ownership and the need to underpin this perception with an effective, jointly owned governance structure. It has also taught us the importance when dealing with such a large number of stakeholders and partners of the need to have a clear stakeholder engagement plan and the importance of identifying local champions that can help advocate and elicit the engagement and change needed in individual organisations. We are also helping to broker innovative partnerships with the police, such as our Persistent Offender Programme, which brings together enhanced police intelligence gathering and offender-based tasking to support collaborative working with the integrated offender management teams. Increasingly, we are exploring new and innovative ways to align the resources of the police and other services to solve shared and often ingrained problems, like London's online hate crime hub, which is a dedicated police resource which works with community experts to identify, prevent and investigate online abuse, or Project Chrysalis, which embeds police officers in prisons to address the growing violence problem in prisons. We are seeking to foster partnership working in our capacity as a major funder for local crime prevention and victim services in London, with our £72 million London Crime Prevention Fund, which goes out to all of the 32 boroughs in London. We know that increasingly the most serious and complex challenges cannot be solved by one agency or area alone. Some of the problems are too big or too complex, and on the other side, some of them are too low volume to be effectively addressed by one borough or agency alone. And with this in mind, we developed a new approach to the London Crime Prevention Fund. Previously, we had allocated it to individual boroughs and just let them get on with it, really. And the new approach offered funding to maintain borough-level projects, but also encouraged collaborative working between different boroughs and organisations, with partners only gaining access to a portion of this funding if they were able to demonstrate genuine co-production and joint delivery across a number of boroughs to tackle issues we collectively agreed were priorities. Channeling funding in this way incentivise organisations to come together, to collaborate and to recognise shared problems and come up with a shared vision to address them. And we look forward, it's early days in terms of the delivery of those projects, but we really do look forward to delivering some and working with and supporting some exciting models of delivery that have been co-designed by local borough partners, statutory organisations and partners from the voluntary sector. The key principle that informed our view of commissioning at City Hall was that the people closest to the challenge often had the greatest insights, passion and knowledge to find a solution, and we needed to help them with that, with the way in which we funded it. And in the same vein, we strongly believe that the current central government criminal justice system is overdue for reform. So we're in the midst of discussion with government with the aim of providing a greater say for London over the delivery of justice services. Our aim is for London to take on a greater role in the commissioning of offender management services alongside the prison and probation service to realise opportunities to achieve greater alignment and greater impact of our commissioned services. London is seeking to enable a more joined-up service to victims and greater regional ownership of offenders, while embedding more collaborative working practices across all agencies to address the increasingly complex challenges that we are all facing. In our oversight role, we've developed a new performance framework, and it's one that goes beyond the blunt measures and targets into a more, I think, sophisticated discussion of what success should look like, and one that engages the police and partners in setting the local priorities while maintaining a consistent focus on antisocial behaviour, high harm offences, repeat victimisation, victim satisfaction and gaps in equality across London. Earlier this year, I brought together local police and borough leaders to set those local crime priorities. And this was about ensuring the return of real neighbourhood policing. It meant that by listening to local police leaders and the elected local council and ensuring that local police teams were duly focused on local priorities. To build on this work, MOPAC is in the process of setting up problem-solving training across all the boroughs of London for both the MPS and local authority staff. So we're supporting the training of collaborative working. We've also led the way in terms of data transparency and making many data dashboards, as we call them, available to the public and to partners across a range of measures, promoting accountability and public oversight, which is a key element of partnership working, collaborative working. I just wanted to make one final point about collaboration, and that's collaboration with the public and collaboration with communities. Because, after all, the principles that underpin everything we and the police and the Met in London do is captured in the term policing with consent. Without public support and increasing the public's help in preventing and reducing crime, our work becomes even more challenging. So when we talk about collaborative working, yes, it is with the voluntary and community sector and our statutory partners, but we also have to think about that collaborative working with communities and with residents. MOPAC is evidence-based and seeks to incorporate Londoners' experiences and perceptions in defining what success looks like for the MPS. This focuses upon seeking to improve victim satisfaction as well as the wider public perceptions Londoners hold towards the police. And we then seek to address many of the inequalities we see in these perceptions. For example, it really is not acceptable that black Londoners are 14 percentage points less likely to agree with that the police treat everyone fairly, or if you're from the LGBT community, you are 8 percentage points less likely to agree the police are dealing with the things that matter. That's why we're continuing to invest to restore neighbourhood policing, a minimum of 2 dedicated ward officers and a PCSO in every one of the 629 wards in London. They are officers who know and are known by local people and work with partners and communities to tackle the problems that blight their local areas. By bringing more dedicated officers into wards, we intend to make real improvements in the public's sense of safety and in the trust and confidence local communities have in policing, and in local problem solving through partnership working from the very, very local level. For example, we know that those who report knowing how to contact their dedicated ward officer are significantly more likely to know what their local priorities are, to have received information from their dedicated ward officers, and twice as likely feel well informed about what the local police in the area are doing. We also know that those answering more positively on the MOPAC core public perception questions, i.e. the police doing a good job, fair treatment, dealing with the things that matter, are more likely to say that they'd be willing to help the police find someone suspected of committing a crime by providing them with information. In terms of victims, whilst victim satisfaction appears high, more than 7 in 10 victims report to be satisfied. Worryingly, we have seen a decline over the previous 18 months. Overall satisfaction is now at the lowest level since before 2012-13. MOPAC and the MPS are taking action to address this, including new research and training. We do know the core behaviours that promote satisfaction and therefore promote better collaborative working with the community. It is about providing reassurance, offering practical help, identifying and meeting vulnerability, ensuring ease of follow-up and contact alongside fair treatment throughout. Trust underpins, as we all know, every successful collaboration, and there's nothing more important to me than building the trust with communities that we all work with that seek to keep safe and protect them from harm. Much of the work that we've talked about today is encapsulated in the Police and Crime Plan that we published earlier this year. Throughout that plan runs our commitment to help deliver a safer city for all Londoners, and that is a commitment that we all take incredibly seriously, and as we all know, it's a commitment that we cannot deliver alone. We can't just deliver it with statutory partners or the voluntary sector, we have to deliver it with communities as well. It requires all partners coming together, and that includes the public, to deliver and achieve shared ambitions, to have open conversations about gaps in capability, and to take innovative approaches to overcoming some of the structural barriers, whether they're real or perceived, and recognising that those closest to the challenges often have the greatest insights, passion and knowledge to find a solution. Designing funding arrangements, services and partnerships in a way that fosters integrated and collaborative working is crucial. And finally, building the trust and communicating the evidence base for what works so that we can take the public with us as well as work with them. I know that we're all here, everyone here is passionate about collaboration and partnership working, I think we've been talking about it and doing it for many years, and I'm delighted that we're able to come together and talk about what is the next stage in this collaborative and partnership working. So thank you very much for inviting me here today.